Hey everybody, this is Glenn. I'm doing a voiceover for today's video because I want to talk about Cannoneer. I played it in my main lineup for a week, and I think the Tower Troop is really good. So enjoy the replays of my games of me using it. Okay, so the other day I received a comment on YouTube about Cannoneer. Quote, Cannoneer is currently the worst Tower Troop of the two. Less health, can't deal with swarms, can't kill a Larry, can't defend against Goblin Barrel if left alone. It's just pay to lose, unquote. When I saw all of the initial videos about Cannoneer a few weeks ago, I thought the same thing about all of its limitations. This card's idea doesn't make sense. How does this help me win? OJ's perfectly worded title, as well as the gameplay, as well as the insane price tag to max out the card, made it an instant turnoff for me. I was 99% against buying it, and I've talked about this in several of my previous videos. I'll admit, once I got the total of my tax return finalized, and it was a pretty good number, I looked at the Cannoneer and decided to at least buy enough cards to get to level 13. After playing with the Tower Troop in my main lineup, I wanted to share 4 points about the card that I think will at least make you rethink about whether it's worth trying it in Ranked or Trophy Road. Given that the new season starts in a few days, it is likely Cannoneer will be more available to people, which means you will likely see it more often, not just from the people who paid for it. Okay, here we go. Point number 1, and this might be a tough one to explain, but it's the main one. My approach, and most people's approach to Clash Royale, is wrong. I learned this from someone who plays fighting games because I was in that fighting game realm for a couple decades. In most fighting games, the goal really is not to knock out your opponent. It just looks that way. The goal is to just have more health than your opponent when time runs out. The knockout is just a byproduct of what happens in the game. It's the same with Clash Royale over the last few years. You don't really need to destroy a tower. You just need to have more HP than your opponent after 5 minutes. Once you rewire your thinking that way, it changes completely how you approach a game like Clash Royale. When you play Cannoneer, you have to approach the game differently. You have to be a more well-rounded type of player instead of offense first. All of us want to build decks that destroy towers. But with Cannoneer, you have to play the type of game where you can play defense and generate enough offense through counter pushes. And this is just me having played the card in Ranked for a week. But you will all see that with my games, where a lot of gameplay is just based on small approaches and counter pushes that build up over time, and then we win the games. Point number 2. Cannoneer takes care of the little things you had to worry about in the past. Raw wall breakers get stopped. Spirits get stopped. Firecracker gets stopped. These are raw interactions I had to worry about by using spells or bringing in troops to guard against a card as a 1v1. Fire Spirit is one of those where if you exhausted your one spell to counter something else, the opponent plays Fire Spirit right at the bridge, and it's like taking fireball damage if you don't even do anything. Now that's all gone when you use Cannoneer. I mean, now with Cannoneer, I can let those raw pushes go and put the focus towards something else within the game. That's elixir saved towards something else that will help me later on. Point number 3. I can truly play a control game that annoys opponents. Yep, I can sit back, be annoying with Mortar and Tesla at the bridge, and think more about how I can secure the defensive end instead of scrambling to save a game. I think the missing part of playing a control deck was the Princess Tower being not as optimal. Cannoneer, I think, is way better. Again, this is just me saying it after only a week of using it. We're going to see this in the coming weeks with Expo players and Mortar players who have the means of getting Cannoneer, possibly using it. Point number 4. Let's address the swarm topic and how it relates to defense. Because now we're going to see people trying to win against Cannoneer with Tombstone or Skarmy or even Goblin Gang. Goblin Barrel is devastating against Cannoneer. I'll just put that there right now. But guess what? With the exception of Tombstone, all of these cards that I just mentioned were already a problem if unaddressed. We already have to prepare our decks against these cards. In the game, when somebody plays Goblin Barrel or Skarmy early, we have to stop that push and then keep it in mind later as the game progresses. And I know people will be like, well, Glenn, you have 3 spells, so clearly you're overcompensating. Well, I have 3 spells in my deck for statistical reasons. The main being that where I am on ladder, based on my own personal stats I have collected, there's a 1 in 5 chance I'm going to play against someone who's running a log bait deck. And there's a 1 in 4 chance someone is going to have a wizard card of some sort. Or they're going to have Firecracker. So I'm playing the odds by having 3 spells in my deck. Cannoneer has nothing to do with that. I think a lot of people just don't think about defense until it's too late in games. We see some of the best in this game approach Clash Royale with the mixed mindset of defensive preparation and an understanding of when to attack. The lack of a defensive approach is why I think a lot of people in the very beginning of Cannoneer dismissed it. And I'll admit, I was part of that too. It wasn't until I played it in ranked where I finally understood that when I think defense first, it can be an amazing part of my lineup. And as a side note, I don't think it needs to be modified where it does splash damage. I know people have talked about that in previous videos. They want splash damage. Maybe for aesthetics, I think if any change, maybe for aesthetics, the King Tower's cannon should have that same animation as the Cannoneer. Cannoneer is not going to be for everyone, and that's where the big streamers and big content creators missed. Everyone aside from 2.6 Hog players who've been playing it for forever wants new cards to be for them. That, oh my gosh, this card, this is the one that's going to get me to the top. This is the one that's going to make me a pro player. This is the one that's going to make me get recognized by all the big content creation teams. And that's just not the case. Look at your stats. Look at how you play defense. Look at what you need to do to win games. I think for me, as someone who plays an off-meta control deck, Cannoneer is perfect for me. I don't think it's for someone who is offensive-minded and loses to swarm counter pushes. For that, you need defensive towers that can attack faster, and the current Princess Tower is fine for that. So those are my points about Cannoneer. Let me know what you think about it. Do you have it? Do you plan to use it in your main lineup when you get it? Are the thoughts of swarm cards being too good have you concerned? And is there anything else that I missed? I read the comments, so let me know in the comments. And thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.